Hi, this is RN Bhaskar from BKBB, which is an acronym for Bhaskar Ki Business Baatein. And each time, our channel used to bring to you every week a policy analysis, a story, or a conversation. Since last week, we started this new chapter where we talk about daily news. And like we like to point out, it's not just news, it's news behind the news. Things that are not often stated but are relevant. And today, as always, I have my two co uh, my two co-anchors with me, and they are Katya and there is Isha. Uh, Today we are going to discuss three topics, three titles, three news items, and they are: the first one is about an economic situation where, according to SBI wrap, inflation numbers are declining. And Katya will talk about that. The second story is about how university rankings, according to the QS, show that 50 universities, 50 Indian universities, are among subject-wise ranking in the world. And Isha will talk about that. And I'm going to talk about trade tremors because of tariffs. Okay. So first, could we have Katya coming in?
As you have seen, sir, it's good news that we've seen February retail inflation numbers were lower than expected, which is extremely good news. And a large part of the contribution which was causing high inflation the last few months is the one which has come down. That is food inflation. It is eased. More importantly, if we go further down, vegetable inflation has eased even further. It's fallen into the negative territory, and SBI ecowrap seems to think it could be a possible effect of Mahakumbh, because 80% of the decline in vegetable inflation, it's not across board, even though in general when in winters there's a lot more vegetable production. The inflation has gone down in garlic, potato and tomato. Garlic playing a very 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 big role, and that could be because of lower meat consumption during Kumbh, and that could also have impacted tomato consumption a little bit as well. But this obviously, a lot of economists have already pointed out that the March print of inflation has already been going up, which means in coming months it won't be a very easy February like it was earlier. And more importantly, the rupee effect on imported inflation is also not is not visible in the February print, and it could be much much more visible in coming months. Irrespective of all these things, economists expect another back-to-back 25 bips interest rate cut. So we'll see what will happen. So what is your opinion, sir? Do you think we should go for these interest rate cuts?
I, I don't know whether the interest rates cuts because that's still depending on money supply, and the RBI is trying to ease money supply. But yes, you're right. Had the Kumbh effect not been there, possibly inflation numbers would not have been as low. And so reducing interest rates now without seeing the actual impact on prices might be a bit premature. At the same time, you can increase money supply, you can reduce interest rates, but you need good borrowers. Almost every class of lenders has seen an increase in default rates. So obviously, the Reserve Bank of India will look at all these things before it can afford to reduce interest rates. But good piece, good enough, good information on inflation. Thank you very much. And that takes me to the second story, and that is by Isha on university rankings.
Hello, good morning. Today I'm going to be bringing you a headline from India Today titled Nine Indian Universities Secure Top 50 Spots in QS Subject-Wise Rankings. So, according to the recently released 15th edition of the QS World University Rankings by subject, 9 Indian universities appear in the top 50 positions across various subject specific areas. while the US universities once again dominate with excellency in 32 academic disciplines. UK institutions claim the first ranking in 18 subjects, which is then followed by China and Korea. The rankings of Indian universities have in fact seen a dip in their positions as compared to the previous years. As you can see on the list displayed on the screen, the Indian Schools of Mines in Dhanbad is ranked at the highest in specific categories. And then other universities that have made their way onto this list include IIT Delhi, Bombay, Madras, and Kharagpur. While IIT Delhi and Bombay have improved in their global standing in the category of engineering and technology, IIT Bombay and Kharagpur have dropped in ranking relative to the last year. Of the IIMs, Ahmedabad and Bangalore appear on the list in the category of business and management studies. However, both have fallen in ranking relative to last year. Of the social sciences, the only university that has made this their way into this subject-specific list of top 50 is the Jawaharlal Nehru University, and it appears in the field of developmental studies, which also saw a slight decline in ranking. Of the 9 universities that appear on our list, 5 universities share a spot with other institutions. Additionally, India has only made its way into the subject specific category, but our universities have failed to appear amongst even the overall top 100 rankings. This decline in ranking is representative of a failure of our Indian educational policy to support the development of the quality of education. On the other hand, China has had the highest number of new subject entries. How will we facilitate the development of a diversely skilled population and stop brain drain without significant changes in our rigid educational system? That's all from my side. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this story, sir.
Thanks, Isha. You're right. Indian university rankings have dipped, although 9 universities have come in the top 50. Uh, what the dip means is that somehow India has not been able to create the right academic environment for universities to improve ranking. So while the US and China and even the UK could increase the rankings, China especially has been doing amazing things on the education front. India is slipping. So all the talk about being Vishwa Guru, all the talk about being Atmanirbhar and talking about the glory of India means nothing if your education does not improve. And do remember, just a couple of days ago, came the news that India has opted not to be part of the PISA scores and the PISA ranking. India does not want PISA rankings on Indian schools because if you remember the last ranking we had, India was number 2, but from the bottom. And education is a crisis. Let's see. And that takes me to the third story, which is about trade tremors. Just look at the chart. It'll tell you $5.3 trillion of valuation disappeared because of Trump's tariff tremors. Yesterday, Canada decided to impose 25% duty on steel and aluminum. And both these tariffs will be imposed beginning tonight, giving USA just 12 hours time to reverse some of its tariff rules. Finally, you also have a situation where the G7 meeting has been scheduled for June this year. That is going to be interesting because the G7 will be 6 countries against the USA when it comes to trade. Everyone will be watching what happens at the G7. Already, Canada has informed the US that it will impose a tariff on electricity. It may even decide to stop electricity supplies. The US is now getting hemmed in, and Trump is beginning to realize how his tariffs have actually made the world come together. Difficult times, but India will have to make sure that it is not caught on the wrong foot. Today, it looks like India is gradually moving the way of the US, especially when you look at what's happened to Starlink with Geo and with Bharti Airtel. Anyway, that's what we have to say for today. And yes, very interestingly, there are questions coming up. But before the questions, let me tell you, tomorrow we continue our transmission in spite of it being Holi, because some parts of India do have Holi, some parts of India have different dates for Holi. And do tune in tomorrow. But right now, let me take up the the responses that are coming in. One of the first responses is, you see any major crisis on the what's it, on the trade front? Uh, yes, there could be crisis. As more and more countries put in tariffs, no businessman is going to try to put in what do you call it, volumes, bookings in advance. He doesn't know what's going to hit him. So all advance bookings and advance sales are going to slow down because of caution. So yes, the tariffs are going to hurt trade. Let's take the second response that's coming. Why have India's university ranking slipped? Obviously, it means that the government has not paid enough attention. It means the government has made it very difficult for academic environments to be preserved and nurtured. Academia is not easy. You have to make sure that teachers are respected, that student provisions are made, and that academic freedom is given. On all the three fronts, the government has been found wanting. I'm not surprised that Indian rankings are slipping while those of China and USA are climbing. Okay, there's a third question. Consumption of more vegetables during the Kumbh Mela means more demand for vegetables. So why have vegetable prices not gone up? Very good question. But I suspect that they have not gone up because a large chunk of the population, not 600 million, maybe less, that was an exaggeration. But even 200 million people going to Kumbh Mela means that they were frugal in the eating, that they were closer to rural areas where food supply became easy, and where supply chains were easier, and in the cities, prices remained stable because there was less demand in the cities. So I think that your entire, what do you call it, your entire pricing was queered by Kumbh Mela in many ways. That is why vegetable prices did not go up. Uh, One more question that's come up is, the rupee depreciation has deliberately been to is a deliberate attempt to reduce the impact of tariffs. I don't think so. When you reduce the value of the rupee, your tariff is in percentage terms. The dollar gets translated into more rupees, and you have to pay the tariff irrespective, and you have to move more dollars. That many dollars out, which is more rupees out. Tariffs have nothing to do with trade. And trade is based on values and tariffs. So if a rupee becomes weaker, it hurts imports and it hurts exports also, because you export the same amount of quantity but get fewer dollars in return. Anyway, this is what the responses are. I can see lots of responses coming in, which is a good sign. I like to have you with us when we talk about news. And finally, do click the subscribe button. Do click the like button. It enthuses us when there are more likes. And finally, do tune in tomorrow. Finally, one more thing, have a great time today and have a wonderful festival tomorrow. All the best. Happy times to everyone.